it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Shetty.
Thank you. Hello. Good evening. I'm really grateful and honored to be with every single one of you today. Thank you so much for choosing to be here. You could have been anywhere in the world or anywhere in the city, but you chose to be here. And a big thank you to Maastricht for having me as well. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how to build a life and not a resume. How many of you have a good resume? I'm going to bring some up. We did some research beforehand of the worst resumes in this audience. I'm only kidding, right? What I want you to do is I want you to stand up. Let's kick off with some interaction. Let's get you up on your feet. Okay. Awesome. So, I spent a lot of time living as a monk. I did a lot of yoga. I do a lot of meditation. We're going to do a quick energizer to get you in the mood, to get you buzzing, to get you awake, seeing as it's a late night. So what I'd like you to do, breathe in and bring your arms to the side. Don't be violent. This is where you realize who's in it just to win it. Okay, breathe out and take him to the top. Feeling energized yet? No, you're not meant to. Breathe down. Breathe out and bring him to the middle. And what I want you to do is I want you to cross your fingers like this, and I want you to place your left thumb over your right thumb over your left thumb, or keep them straight just like this. I want you to place your left thumb over your right thumb over your left thumb, or keep them straight just like this. Awesome. Hold that. Don't give up yet. I know it's a lot of physical exercise for some of you. Just keep it there for a bit longer. Okay. How many of you have your left thumb over your right thumb? Put your hand up. Wow, not many. So I studied behavioral science at business school. I've always been fascinated by why people do what they do. I'm a people watcher. I can even read faces. I spent 6 weeks learning how to read faces. So if I'm looking at you right now, I'm looking into your mind, right? You look slightly worried. So those of you, put your hands up again if you had your left thumb over your right thumb. So in some parts of behavioral science, that means that you're extremely intelligent, right? You can check with the person standing next to you. You can check with your friends. Okay? How many of you have your right thumb over your left thumb? Put your hands up. So that means that you're meant to be extremely attractive, right? Or good looking. Okay? Bit more subjective that time. And how many of you have your thumbs both straight like that? Well, that means that you're neither. Give yourselves a round of applause, grab a seat. So, why did I do that? There was a reason. There was a reason why I did that. And the reason is because so much of our life today is divided. We all have things in our life that we want to do, and then we all have things that we have to do. Agree? We all have things that we love to do, and then we all have things that we hate to do. We have something we call family, and we have something we call friends, and we have some things that we call work, not for you yet, but coming, and there are some things that you call life. And in that same guise, there's something that you call a resume, and then there's something that you call an experience. And what I'm really fascinated to talk about today is how do you connect the dots there? How do you switch between them? And how do you uncover your potential for actually living the life that you really want to live? Does that sound like a good idea? Yeah? Some of you look a bit confused. That's okay. So I want to tell you about a story, about an experience that I had, if this works. Always is the way. Do I need another clicker, guys? So, I want to tell you about an experience that I had, and this experience happened to me around 10 years ago. And I was in India. How many of you have ever visited India? Wow, quite a few of you. How many of you would like to go to India? Awesome, great. So I take a lot of people to India every year. I do a lot of retreats. I do a lot of places where I take groups away. And when I'm taking these groups away, I have my list of top 10 things that you have to worry about, right? Top 10 things that you should have to think about. And one of my top 10 warnings when you're going to India is that remember that something, and I mean something, will always break down, right? No matter who you are, no matter who you go with. India is known for this. I've been for pretty much every year of my life. So anyway, I was out with my friends on a night in India, 18 years old. We came back from a busy evening out. Came back from this evening, we came back to my friend's apartment building. He lived in a 30-floor apartment building. Guess what was broken? The lift, right? The elevator was broken. My friend conveniently lived on the 27th floor. Now, we were all young, athletic men, or so we thought. We thought that we could run up these stairs and we wouldn't feel it at all. So we started to do that. We got to the first floor, we got to the second floor, we got to the third floor, and by the time we were at the fourth floor, we'd run out of breath. And we realized how unfit we were. Have you ever done that before? Yeah? So we realized that, and we said to ourselves, it doesn't matter where you are, it matters who you're with. Have you ever said that to yourself before? When things start going wrong, everyone becomes philosophical, right? Everyone gets all deep all of a sudden when things start to go wrong. So we said to ourselves, it doesn't matter where you are, it matters who you're with. And we said, all we want to do is we're going to go up these stairs and we're all going to tell each other jokes, stories, funny memories that we have of each other to make the time go faster. So we started to do that. We were at the 5th floor, we were at the 10th floor, we were at the 15th floor, we were at the 20th floor. We're now at the 23rd floor, 4 floors away from our destination. And we noticed that one of our friends hadn't yet told a joke. And you know, we all have that one friend who's just not very funny, right? Everyone has that one friend, and if you're not laughing, that friend is you. And someone is thinking about you right now, pointing at you, making a meme out of your face, and putting it onto Instagram, right? Everyone has a friend that's not very funny. So this was that one friend of ours who's not very funny. And we said to him, look, you haven't told a joke or a story yet. And he said, well, you know, I haven't got a joke or a story. We said, look, we're 4 floors away. We're in a great mood. You have to tell a joke or a story. He said, but I'm not funny. We said, we know you're not funny. But come on, we're all in a good mood. We promise we'll even fake laugh. Everyone's got a fake laugh, right? Let me hear it. You've been doing that all along to me. So we said to him, we'd fake laugh, right? We just want you to laugh. Get ready. We'll laugh at anything you say. And he said, you know what? I left the keys to the room downstairs. And he wasn't joking. Now I, having been a monk, believe in non-violence, but I've never wanted to beat someone up more in my life. I cannot explain to you how much tolerance I've gained since that day in not exercising my physical prowess over this gentleman who I wanted to chuck down these stairs. True story. The incredible thing is, when I started reflecting on my life, and when I started speaking to people that I was working with to help them find their purpose, and when I started coaching executives and senior members across the world who are achieving phenomenal things in their career and life, this story connected so deeply with them. And I'll explain why. There's so many areas of our life where we're excelling, accelerating, and growing. Our careers are flying through the roof. Our degrees and our qualifications are going through the roof. Maybe we're really successful in getting lots of internships, lots of references. We've got a phenomenal resume. But the number of people I speak to at age 30, age 40, age 50 who tell me that I feel like I forgot the key to real happiness, fulfillment, and purpose downstairs. Just like we'd climbed 23 floors and realized that the most important thing that we needed to get to our destination, we'd forgotten downstairs. Similarly in life, so many of us pace through our journeys only to look back and think, when did I lose that key? Where did I forget that key to deep fulfillment, purpose, and passion? And that's what we're going to explore today. One of my favorite stories I tell is about a young boy. And this young boy in school, he was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many of you remember your first memory of what you said you wanted to be when you were asked this question of what you wanted to be? Yeah, go for it. Footballer. Nice. Yours was more mature than mine. My first one was cowboy. right? Which is really strange. Anyone else remember this? Put your hand up. Yes. Dolphin trainer. Are you a dolphin trainer? Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, nice. Yes. Bus driver. Well, nice. Truck driver. A lot of drivers going on in here. Yes. Archaeologist. Are you training to be an archaeologist? No. Okay. Okay, cool. Anyone else? Yes. Hairdressing. Nice. Are you training? Are you? Not at all. Do you dabble? Do you do your friends next to yours? Did you do her hair today? No. Okay, just checking. Anyone else? Yes. Doctor. Bollywood actress. Bollywood actress. Nice. Okay, so great. We've got all of these things. This young boy, writing down, he wrote down the word. When he was asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" He wrote down the word happy. And when his teacher was looking through all of these papers, looking at the other things people had written, they'd written astronaut, they'd written doctor, they'd written dentist, they'd written actress, they'd written all these different things. She came across this word and saw that he'd written happy. She went up to him and she said, "John, I think you've misunderstood the assignment." He said, "Miss, I think you've misunderstood life." Right? Cheeky little sod. But he made such a powerful, powerful point. Right? Such a powerful point. So what I want to take you through now is a few interesting scenarios. I want you to answer these two questions with the person sitting next to you. Are you more interesting on your resume or in real life? Be honest, right? Be honest. Imagine if I asked you on your first date with someone you were about to meet through Tinder or wherever it may be, and you had to read out your LinkedIn resume to them. How hot would you sound, right? That's the question. Second question, what's your best punchline, or for the guys, cheesy pickup line that you use about yourself? Two things, talk to the person next to you, 2 minutes, go. Let me grab your attention again. So, how many of you think that you're more interesting on your resume? A few people, brave souls, thank you for being honest. How many of you think you're more interesting in real life? Right, okay, good. Right, so that's already telling you something about yourself. Either you're not very smart, right? Your resume is looking a bit weird, or you recognize that actually I'm really cool in real life, I'm really interesting in real life. Second question, what's your best punchline about yourself? Does anyone have something really good? And to make it more interesting, I'm not going to let you share yours, I'm going to tell you to share the person you're sitting next to so you can put them in it. So is there anyone who would like to share the best punchline about themselves? Anyone? Yes?
It's not about how you do it, but it's not about...
You got to get it right.
It's not about what you do, it's about how you do it.
Okay, nice. Anyone else? Thank you for sharing. Thanks for taking, yeah?
His last name is Salt, and when he meets like girls, for example, he always says, "Please don't insult me."
Nice. I appreciate the bravery. Anyone else? Anyone else bold enough? Put your hand on one more. I want one more. I want someone from the back. Anyone else? Yeah? Up there? No, I'm pointing at you, yeah. Yeah.
Persistent.
Persistent. Okay, one word. All right, we'll go for that. I'll take that. I'll take that right now. I'm okay with that. Awesome. So, I'm going to take you through a few people's interesting resumes. What do you think this guy... Oh, what do you think this guy was before he became who he is? Drug dealer, yeah. Someone knows a thing or two about drug dealing up there. All right. How about, one second. How about her? Drug dealer? Anyone know? Huh? No, you wish, mate. She was a telemarketer for 2 weeks. All right? Telesales for 2 weeks. One's trying to get this to work. Oh. How about, one second. How about this guy? What was that? No? Nothing. He used to be a runner at EMI Records. Just one of those guys who runs and gets people snacks and drinks and puts CDs in different places. That's what he used to do before he does what he does now. How about her? She applied to be a funeral director. That was on her, she applied to be a funeral director. I don't know if she actually got the job, but that's what she applied to be. How about this guy? Wolverine before he became Hugh Jackman, yeah. That's a good one, yeah? This guy, this is incredible. He used to be a PE teacher, right? Sports teacher at a high school. It's incredible. How about her? She used to sell hot dogs at the mall. That used to be her job. That's on her resume, right? This guy. Yeah, I only hear girls going, stripper! None of the guys wanted to admit that they knew that because, right, he used to be a stripper. The incredible thing, I've spent a lot of time studying the resumes of people who've become successful, studying resumes of people that we may not know about but have become successful. Here I've just put up people that we recognize for the purpose of our presentation, but I've studied resumes of people that we don't know about but are successful, are happy, etc. And the incredible thing I've found is that none of their resumes align. None of their resumes have the same journey. There is no pattern in their resume. There is no formula in their resume. But the one thing they do have in common is what we're going to be speaking about today. They all have meaning in their life. They all have purpose in their life. And above all, they've gone all in on their natural skills that they've invested in. They've narrowed down their understanding of what they're good at to be one or two things and gone all in. How many of you have heard of Tim Ferriss? How many of you know Tim Ferriss? 4-hour work week, etc. I interviewed him last year. Tim Ferriss, incredible person. If you haven't seen his podcast, you should definitely check him out. And I asked him this question. He's written a book called Tools of Titans. And in there, he's interviewed 200 people from health, wealth, and wisdom. And he's asked them, what is it that differentiates them? And they said they all went in on one or two of their core skills, right? That's the thing. Their resume is not the same. They don't have the same pattern. They have something else in common, which is much deeper, right? And that's what we're diving into today. So these are the most common lies on a resume. How many of you have lied on your resume currently? Yeah, I'm going to hear some answers. These are the interesting ones from here. So embellished skill set, 57% have done this, right? It's where all you did was administration, but you wrote project management, right? It's where all you did was get coffees and you called it coordination or team care, right? It's embellished skill set. Embellished responsibilities, 55% have done that, right? Another one, when it comes up. Dates of employment, 42% pretended that they worked somewhere for 3 months instead of 3 days, all right? It's incredible. Another one. There we go, job title. 34% of people have lied about their job title, all right? How many of you have lied about a job title? Anyone in this room? Academic degree, 33% lied about their degree. Can you believe that? These are real statistics, right? These are real life statistics. Companies they work for, 26% of people lied. It's like when everyone goes, I worked for Google. I worked for Apple, yeah, at the Apple store. Yeah, not in marketing. I remember a guy I met back at work, back at Accenture when I worked there, and he used to always be like to me, yeah, I used to work at Apple, and I used to think, oh wow, this guy must be really talented. Then I realized that he just worked at the Apple store. And I was just like, wow, that's so different, right? But it's true, companies they work for, people lie about it, or they embellish their skill set. These are my favorite, most memorable resume lies. So they asked recruiters, what are the biggest lies people do on their resume? These were some of the answers. So this one, first one, when we see it, I'm just going to keep tapping. Yeah, tapping over there. Oh, nice, that's nice. Oh, nice. Oh, amazing, that's what it is then. Okay. Great. Okay, so applicant claimed to be the assistant to the prime minister of a foreign country that doesn't have a prime minister. What the hell? How are you ever going to get a job when you can't even know It's true. These are real, right? Next one. Applicant claimed to be an Olympic medalist. True again. Probably in something obscure, but still, right? You can't fake that. Applicant claimed to have 25 years of experience at age 32. We've all seen that job that says you need 7 years of experience. Count how old you are first before you go for that, right? These are true. They asked recruiters. Another one that came up. Applicant applied to position with a company who had just terminated him. He listed the company under previous employment and indicated on his resume that he had quit. Who does that? Real people do that, right? And another one, I love this one, if it comes up. Okay, applicant applied twice for the same position, provided different work history. I mean, come on. They interviewed 2,000 recruiters, and these were HR and recruiters' most interesting and most memorable resume lies they've ever come across. The funny thing is, they interviewed some of these people just for fun, right? They already knew this, they brought them in. So if you're ever in an interview and you're just like, why the hell am I here? It's one of those weird recruiters just having a bit of fun with you. Why am I talking about this? Why am I going through resumes when I'm talking about building a life? I thought about this and I spoke to people. I reached out to some of these people and I asked them, why did you lie? Why do we lie on our resumes? When I studied behavioral science, one of the things that fascinated me is why we lie, why we cheat, why we're unlawful. Why do we do that? Some people will say we do it because we want to make ourselves look better. We need to get a job and they're asking for so much. I don't know how to convince them that I have those skills and I'll live up to them. But you know what? When I sat down with people and I really talked to them, they said to me it's because I haven't really figured out what I'm good at. I haven't really figured out what matters to me. I haven't really figured out what I want to do with my life. And therefore I'm lying to get these jobs that I don't really want either. And I'm thinking about that. And I want you to all just take a moment just to see if that resonates or see if that connects. So the first resume dates back to the 1480s. Does anyone recognize who this is? Anyone? Da Vinci, right? Leonardo da Vinci. Few people said something else. Go on. you know if you're laughing that you got it wrong. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the first people to ever write a resume. I tried to date back what was the first resume. 1480, right? Leonardo da Vinci wrote a resume, and in that resume, it didn't say "Dear Sir," it said "Dear Lord," right? That's how he addressed. And he wanted this great job and great role, and he did a list of 10 bullet points of why he was the person they should hire. He got the job and created some masterpieces at that place. But of course, he was always living a life of purpose and meaning and what he really wanted to do. How many of you sometimes feel like this guy? Anyone ever feel like this guy? You can switch engineering to another word. Anyone ever feel like sometimes you've come to a place and you're like, I'm studying something at university, but I don't really want to study this. Or you're studying something and go, oh my God, I'm studying this, I like it, but I found something else that I'm fascinated by. There's something else that's on my mind, right? Anyone ever felt that way before? Or someone goes, actually, if I could do this all over again, I'd study something else. I'd work on something else. And what happens in society is that we're clouded by the noise of family expectations, the noise of our parents, the noise of our brothers and sisters' expectations. I grew up in a family where you could either be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure, right? Those were my three options. Anything else would just count me as a failure. I would have failed. So basically I failed, right? I'm standing up here in front of you all as a failure, right? Doctor, because all my cousins are doctors and lawyers, every single one of them, right? So I didn't have a third option. There was no third option. So many of the times our expectations are driving us in a certain scenario. Also, the point that we've also realized that we focus so much on life in what we want to be as opposed to who we want to be. Because we've always been told that life and jobs and careers are like boxes and containers. There's only a finite number of options. Today, if you look at some of the most successful people's resumes or look at their job titles have 1 million words on them, right? Because today things have become open. Technology has changed our lives in a way that we're all 1 million things because we've realized, actually, I've got this talent, I've got this passion, I'm also this. I'm a doctor who does philanthropy work, so I'm also a philanthropist, right? I'm not just a doctor. right? Not me, people, right? You know, I'm someone who loves making content. I'm an online content producer, but at the same time, I'm a speaker. I love to speak. I love to share what I'm learning with people in real life, right? I'm also a producer. I'm a filmmaker. I can edit. I sit back. We do so many things. And I started to realize that living life from the get-go, especially where you are right now in this I'm 10 years older than most of you, in the most amazing place you are in your life right now, it's such a special place to be. Because you can decide right now that I don't want to be defined by this box. I don't want to be defined by this container. I don't want to feel that if only I live in this container, then I'll be able to be successful. Then I'll be able to make money. Then I'll be able to be happy, right? Because life is so much beyond containers. Life is so much beyond these titles that we have, and that's only going to accelerate through tech. Another thing that really stands out to me is this, when it flicks on, is the mentality of a dropout. I'm not asking you to drop out, right? Imagine I did that. Imagine I said to you guys, this is it, just drop out today. Studies show that people who drop out because they think they're going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates forgot that they dropped out of Harvard, right? So they were already at Harvard, they dropped out, and then they're Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. The studies show you should get a degree, right? Research shows you should get your degree, because the odds of people who drop out and become successful are much fewer. But what we do need is the mentality of a dropout. The mentality of dropping out from mainstream culture. The mentality of dropping out from mainstream expectations. The mentality of dropping out from the noise that's all around us as we're growing up. Because as soon as you decide to drop out, you're going to be paving your own road. You're not going to define about any limits or any rules. I lived as a monk for 3 years. I committed career suicide, right? I turned down 2 amazing corporate job offers when I graduated from business school and chose to live as a monk. I shaved my hair, I wore robes, and lived out of a gym locker for 3 years, where I wouldn't even be able to fit my shoes now. But all of my possessions existed inside of that. And I did that because I thought I was going to do something meaningful, help impact the world. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. But more than becoming a monk, what that trained me to do was drop out with the rules. People told me, if you come back in 3 years, you'll never get a job. Right? How will you get a job? They told me, if you become a monk, people are going to think you weird forever, right? No girl's ever going to talk to you, right? People told me, they were like, well, when you come back to real life, like, will you even be able to talk English? Like, people were just really weirded out. I'm just like, okay, I think monks talk English, speak English. And there was so much different noise that I was hearing when I made that decision. And the funny thing is, 4 years on from having not been a monk for 4 years now, I'm in one of the most incredible periods of my life that I could ever have asked for. And so much of that is based on the fact that I decided to do something different. And I'm not saying you all have to become monks, but I want you to think like one for a little bit, which is dropping out of the mainstream thought process, letting go of the fact that there are rules for success, that there are rules for thinking, there are rules that defeat you. People say you can't change your career at 30, that's when you're meant to be settling down. You can't change your career at 35. You should have had it figured out by then. Oh my God, you're not married at 38? What the hell are you doing with your life? Who comes up with this stuff? I have no idea. But this stuff plagues so many people that I speak to. So many people open up to me and say, Jay, I just don't know how to change. Is it possible? Is it even possible? But you guys are in the best place right now where you can actually make all of those changes and actually start thinking. So I'm going to take you through. These are 5 of my favorite things in the world. 5 regrets of the people that are dying, right? I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the lives others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish that I'd I wish that I'd let myself be happier. These are the top 5 regrets. Look at number 1. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the lives others expected of me. This was a nurse who talked about her experience by sitting down with people just before they died and wrote down the most common regrets people had. These are the top 5. The great thing about talking about it right now, you're not 80 and you're not dying, right? Well, we are dying every day, but reality check. But you're not dying right now. Right? You're not in that position right now. You don't have to have any of these regrets. And when I looked at this list, When I was deciding, after I'd been a monk, I was in the corporate world, and I realized I do not want to spend the rest of my life in the corporate world. Not that I hate corporates, I love corporates, I work with a lot of them. But I want to do something meaningful with my life and purposeful with my life. I looked at these, I stared them in the face, and I said, I don't want that to be me. I would rather have tried and failed than have not tried at all. That's what I said to myself. And it was uniquely inspiring looking at these and actually fast forwarding and then looking back at where I am now to protect myself, to save myself from never having to undergo any of these scenarios. So you only live once. False. You live every day. You only die once. We live every single day. So actually when you're choosing something you don't love, well, that doesn't mean anything to you. You have to experience that every single day. It's painful, right? So it's YODO, not YOLO, right? It's YODO. So from now on, anytime someone says YOLO, correct them, right? Tell them I said it's YODO. Tell Drake that it's YODO, right? Because you live every single day and you want to live that meaningfully. So I'm going to guide you through some exercises now that are going to help you uncover this. I'm hoping this is making sense. And this is one of my favorite memes as well. So you have an opinion about my life, which of my bills will you be paying this month? And it's a great way of thinking about it, because I find so many people that I know are so impacted by the noise and the comments and the opinions of people around them. But when you're stuck, when you're struggling, is that person going to be there? Is a massive question you need to ask yourself. So some of these things I want to take you through to actually help you uncover this. And I think me and this clicker are going to have a situation after this, similar to my friend at those stairs. Sorry if you don't get this back, Maastricht. I may destroy it. So apprentice. We switch from becoming a dropout to being an apprentice. One of my favorite reflections that I've had recently, I remember a few years ago when I was analyzing these regrets, etc., I started thinking about what living your life versus a resume actually looked like, what it felt like. And usually people try and make it out to be like some glorious thing. Like, how many of you know an internet entrepreneur who's telling you that they're working from a different beach every day and they make enough money to pay for everything, right? They're making it out like it's just a laugh. They're making it out like it's really, really easy. They're making it out like, oh my God, I just wake up on this beach and I've got millions of pounds and millions of dollars. And you're like, yeah, right. You know, is that even possible? Now, I know some people who've kind of achieved that, but this is what it kind of looked like. What my friends think I do, or what I post on social media, what my mum thinks I do, what the media thinks I do, what my girlfriend thinks I do, what I think I do, I definitely think I do that, and what I really do, right? What I really do. The challenge with the way life's being portrayed today is that, oh my God, if you go be an entrepreneur, if you go live your dream, it's going to be amazing, right? Your Instagram's going to get loads of followers, right? You're going to look really attractive and it's going to look incredible. Actually, it's really interesting. When we die, our lifeline does this, right? It looks like this. When you're living, your lifeline's doing this. Notice how that connects with our real experience of life. Real life is ups and downs. Stagnant life, death looks like this. Working for a company for 30 years looks like this. Being an entrepreneur looks like this. One's living, one's dead. You choose. But it's as simple as that. And when I saw that and I started to visualize that, I realized that every time I failed, every time things went wrong, every time I chose to risk to live my passion and things didn't work out and they don't work out, even now they don't work out, and even tomorrow they won't work out. And when I analyze the lives of entrepreneurs and look at how things haven't worked out, I just remind myself, that's living. That's not. And that visualization has stuck with me so powerfully that every time I'm having an up, I'm like, there's going to be a down. And every time I'm down, I'm like, there's going to be an up. And therefore, there's no right or wrong. There's only moving in a direction. As long as you're moving in the direction you want, that's great. And sometimes something that feels like a gift ends up being a curse, and something that feels like a curse ends up being a gift. I've had it happen to me just in the last month. And it's incredible when you can see it objectively. So I'm going to guide you through a few things now that I really want you to take part in. If I gave you 100 hours to invest in self-development, how would you split it between things you're good at, things you're average at, and things you're terrible at? I want you to talk about this with the person sitting next to you for 2 minutes. If you had 100 hours, and I said to you I was going to pay for all of them, right? You don't have to think about money. I'm going to pay for 100 hours of your self-development. I'm not actually going to do any of this. But if you were asked, and if you were told that, how would you split that 100 hours between what you're good at, what you're average at, and what you're terrible at. Go for it, in percentages. Okay, so tell me your percentages. What would your percentages be? Go, anyone, yes? 100, 0, 0? Nice, okay, anyone else? Yes? 20, 10, 70. 20, 10, 70? 80, 20, 0. Okay? 20, 40, 20, interesting, yeah. Anyone else, yes?
30, 30, 40.
30, 30, 40? 70, 20, 10? 5, 5, 90? 30, 70, 0. Okay, a mix, right? There's no, yeah, go for it. You had your hand up? 0, 50, 0. Oh, 50, 0, 50? We'll leave it at that. You can tell me afterwards, yeah. So, right. No pattern, right? No pattern. Everyone in the room said different things. When they asked this to some of the most successful people in the world, when I say successful, I'm not talking about people who I feel are living their passions, living their meaning, making a difference. They are financially successful as well. They're materially successful as well, but they're definitely doing it for a deeper reason. Their stats, this was their answer. Their stats were either 100, 0, 0 or 80, 10, 10. I'll tell you why. When you invest in something that you're terrible at, you'll only ever become average at it, most likely, unless you really invest and you're passionate about it. That's different, and I'm going to add that to the equation in a second. When you work on something you're average at, you'll only ever be good. You work on what you're good at, you're going to be phenomenal at it. Now, there's one caveat to this. There's one little footnote, and that is, if the bottom one is something you're deeply passionate about, that can change the game. That's the only time it changes. But what you're naturally, inherently good at is something that you will excel at, right? And it's weird I use the word Excel because I'm really bad at using Microsoft Excel. It's been one of the worst things. It's been the bane of my life is Microsoft Excel. Is anyone here good at Microsoft Excel? Okay, I'm going to reach out to you afterwards, right? I've hated Microsoft Excel my whole life. Every career I've ever had has wanted me to use Microsoft Excel. And I'll be honest with you, I have avoided it like the plague, right? I don't even know how to do a VLOOKUP, right? I just know what it is because I was told I needed to know what it was. And it's on my resume probably. So, interesting thing is, no matter how hard if you work on something that you're not passionate about, no matter how hard you work on it, you'll only ever be average. If I worked on Excel, I hate Excel. If I worked on Excel, and I'm rubbish at it, I'm terrible at it, I'm at the bottom, even if I worked at it hard, I'd only ever be average at it. But if there's something that I love and I'm passionate and I'm good at it naturally, when you invest in that, that's when you start standing out. That's when you become a game changer. And the funny thing is, no one does this because you're always told, work on your weaknesses. Yeah, that's how you become a robot and a machine, right? Work on your weaknesses. That's how you become a part of a system and don't stand out. Work on your weaknesses. We hear that all the time. Now, you should work on your weaknesses that affect your strengths, of course. But if you just focus on working on your weaknesses, you're only ever going to become average. And that's what we have. We have a lot of people who become average at a lot of stuff. And that's not meaningful. We all need to excel at something to feel meaningful. Now, let's take this a step further. This is what I call the quadrant of success, if it turns up. So, here we go. So some of you may have seen this before. This is Japanese. It's called ikigai. Japanese means, in English, ikigai means reason for being, right? Nice and simple, reason for being. And think to yourself right now, do you have a reason for being? Martin Luther King said something phenomenal. He said, if you have nothing to die for, you have nothing to live for. That's a reason for being. When you have a reason for being, it's made up of these different things. That which you love, that which you feel the world needs, that which you're good at, and that which you can be paid for. That's the equation, those four, right? It's possible, but it's not easy. But it is possible if you believe that it is, right? Something that you love doing, something that you're good at, something that you get paid for, and something that the world needs is your reason for being, finding that intersect. And you can see passion, mission, profession, vocation, all of them in there. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Okay, there we go. Quadrant of success. And I would ask you to write these out. If you've got a piece of paper, you can. I want you to think about this. Take this home. We'll send this out to you afterwards as well. I want you to think about what you're good at and love, what you're good at but don't love, what you're not good at but love, and what you're not good at and don't love. I put it on a quadrant so you can actually read it, otherwise it's just complicating. It's really important. This quadrant of success, I want you to go home, if you can do it right now, map it out. I want you to sit down, draw these 4 quadrants out and fill them out. What are you good at and love? I'll give an example for me, right? What am I good at and love? I love language in terms of, I'm not good at languages, I love language, I love wordplay, I love the English language, I love words. I've read dictionaries and thesauruses since I was young. I'm fascinated by the meanings behind things. And I love talking about them and explaining them. What am I good at but don't love? I'm good at numbers, but I hate numbers, right? I don't love them at all. Second thing, what you're not good at but love. Once upon a time, I was one of the shyest kids in school. This would have been traumatic. My first public speaking experience was I was 10 years old. I was standing in front of all my 10-year-old friends at school and younger, and I was meant to sing something in my native language, in an Indian language, because my mum had volunteered me to do this. So I'm standing there. I was a lot larger than I am now, and my mum had also decided to dress me in traditional Indian clothing. So there were parts of me that weren't so flattering. And I'm standing there, basically looking like I've dressed like a girl, and I'm trying to sing this Indian song at age 10, and all the people in the audience start laughing. Absolutely everyone starts laughing. I'm 10 years old. And I start crying to the point that my tears have made all the words blur on my piece of paper that I couldn't read what I was meant to be singing. That was the day I decided I'm never using notes, right? And I couldn't read it. I couldn't read them. And then, worst scenario ever, everyone's still laughing. No one's like, you gave me a nice R, which was really nice. Could have been a bit louder, but it was nice, right? But at that moment, the teacher comes on, puts her arm around me and walks me off stage. Like if I didn't need to be more embarrassed. And then my mum comes on stage, right? Can you imagine? And then I get walked off stage. That was my first experience of public speaking. So it was traumatic, right? It was traumatic. So that was something that I'm not good at, but I love it. I love sharing a message. I love sharing wisdom. I love sharing what I feel has had a big impact on my life with people that I think are going to change the world. I have a big desire to learn from all of you when I'm sharing these things. Because I try to share this stuff, I learn lots more because I get to spend time with amazing people. So that's something I'm not good at, but I loved it, and it's become what I do now. And then the last one is what you're not good at and don't love. So the interesting thing is the way we invest our time has to be in the proportion of this quadrant. The 2 you should be focusing on are what you're good at and love, and what you're not good at but love. The ones you don't need to waste any time on are what you're good at and don't love, forget about that. And what you're not good at and don't love, forget about that. Stop wasting your time. If you really honestly answered that quadrant and said, how much of my time am I spending in each of these 4? You'll find that over 50% is in the wrong quadrant, right? Is in the wrong spaces. And then you wonder when you're 40 years old, what the hell happened? Because of our analysis, not doing this analysis early on enough. So let's go through this a bit more. I'm going to do a little exercise with you, which is going to need a bit of coordination. You won't be able to move around in this space so much, but you'll have to do it mentally. So I want you to answer the question first of all. Do you think that you're outgoing, or do you think that you're reserved? Neither of these traits is positive or negative. Neither is an advantage or a disadvantage. This is our natural inclination. If you think you're more outgoing, you're the person after this who's going to be like, oh guys, let's all go out, right? There's that person dragging everyone to the party late at night. They're the person who's always starting the conversation and maybe talks too much. The person that's reserved, that person's still confident, but they're conscious, they're focused, they're thinking, they're collective, they're calm. They think about how to get involved in the space. If you think you're more outgoing, in your head, move to this side of the room, just put yourself on that side. And if you think you're more reserved, move to that side of the room, right? How many of you think you're more outgoing? Put your hand up. How many of you think you're more reserved? Put your hand up. Take a look around you. Do you agree? Because one of you is going to look at someone and go, you're not reserved, stop lying, right? Have a look around. Put outgoing, put your hand up. Outgoing, make some noise. Reserved, make some noise. Yeah, you can tell the difference already. Thanks for living up to the stereotype. Right, second question. Do you think that you're more people-orientated or more task-orientated? And this is how you feel, not what work makes you, not what uni makes you, not what school makes you, not what your mom or dad makes you. What are you? Are you more people-oriented or task-oriented? I'll explain what I mean. People-oriented people are thinking, is everyone having a good time? Is everyone really connecting with this message? Are people tuned in? Are people engaged? That's what a people person's thinking about. A task person is thinking, God, when the hell is this guy going to be finished? Right? Is he on time? He's only got 5 minutes left. Right? That's what a task person's thinking. They're worried about the time. They're worried about, has he gone through all his slides yet? Is he going to finish? They're worried about the task. Right? So, if you are more people, come forward on your side, in your head, or go back if you're task. So you should either be outgoing and task, right? Outgoing and people, or reserved and task, or reserved and people. What are yours? Write it down so you know it. First of all, are you outgoing or reserved? Write down one of the words, right? So you know and remember it. Second question, are you more people or task? Write down which one you are, right? Awesome. So how many of you are outgoing and task? Raise your hands. Look around. Not many people at all. That means that this is a really good place. Right? Put your hands up again. Keep them up. Fine. You guys are very talented at getting things done. You guys are drivers. You're doers. Right? You're practical. You stick to deadlines. You're incredible at making sure something gets done on time to perfection. Right? You guys are ready, fire, aim. You want to get things moving. You want to get things done. These are the people that also make people cry. Because these are the people that put pressure onto people because they want to get things done. Now, how many of you were outgoing and people? Put your hands up. Right. You guys are inspirers, influencers, come up with great ideas. You're really insightful, but you guys are ready, talk. Right? These guys are the guys that just keep talking. They've got the next $1 billion idea that never really happens. They sell you that deal that never really happens, right? But they're good. They're insightful. They're ideas. That's their strength. That's their core strength. Now, how many of you were reserved and task? Put your hand up. Awesome. If you're reserved and task, you're calm, collective, conscious, cautious. You're very calculative. And you guys are ready, aim. You're perfectionists. You're also the people that send people emails telling them they've got spelling mistakes in their email, right? These are the people that don't like abbreviations in text messages. These are the people that are like, why are you using emojis? They're perfectionists. They need it to be perfect. And the final one, how many of you are reserved and people? Awesome. You guys are supportive. You're great mediators. You're great at being sensitive and understanding people's feelings. You're very empathetic. You're great at getting a team working together. You guys, ready? Are ready? Hug, cuddle. Right? Let's have a massive R for all of these guys. These guys, when those guys make you cry, these are the people that you run to. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something really interesting. Without outgoing and task, nothing would ever get done. Without outgoing and people, no one would ever be inspired. Without reserved and task, nothing would have any quality. And without reserved and people, people would never work together. Every single one of those basic breakdowns of personality and traits has a space in society, has a need in society, has an impact in society, has an influence in society. If you analyze some of the most influential people and broke them up according to that, they'd be in equal spaces. We think in today's world that everyone who comes up with an idea must have to be the most powerful people in the world. Well, actually, some of the biggest ideators who invented things like Google and Facebook, etc., they sit in reserved and task. They're coders, right? Coders are reserved and task, more generally. But they're needed. They've had an impact on the world. Mediators, the people that we need most in politics today, they're going to be reserved and people. And the people that are going to make things inspiring and active, outgoing and people, and the people that are going to make sure we actually promise to do what we keep promising we're going to do, are those guys that are outgoing and task. If you take away one thing, I want you to take away the fact that you can't ever think that what you have is not powerful and needed. And the thing is, the ideal team runs on all four. You want to surround yourself by the other three to become a powerful team. That's how you make an impact. You look at the best businesses in the world, they'll have an equal split between these four because they're able to recruit and find people to build them. So when I'm looking to build a team or an organization, I don't look for people like me. I look for people that are not like me because they're going to be able to deliver in ways that I can't. And knowing that is massive. Knowing that is huge. Knowing that you're bad at something is the greatest strength you can have because it makes you focus on what you're actually good at, right? A few things I want to wrap up on. A few last points. I think this has wasted 5 minutes of my time in this presentation, so I'm gonna go for it. That's the model, so that you have an idea of it. D's, outgoing and task. I's, outgoing and people. C, reserve and task. S, reserve and people, right? Just to give you an idea of what that looks like. And the final thing I wanted to speak to you about is becoming a game changer. The process that I wanted to take you through today was A, to make you realize that you don't need to fit into a box. You need to drop out of that mainstream society. The second thing you need to do is be an apprentice. You need to learn about yourself. Not an apprentice of someone else, apprentice of yourself. Self-awareness is going to be the most powerful skill you've ever had. If you know what you're passionate about, if you know what you're good at, and you invest in that. People say follow your passions. I say forget that. Invest in your passions. If you're passionate about something, go and become the best at it. Go and do a course on it. Go and learn from the best. Go and find a mentor who's going to make you incredible at that trait, right? Don't follow your passions. That will let you down. Invest in your passions. Really go out there and think, how can I become incredible at what I'm doing if I'm really, truly passionate about it? Not only will you be criticized and grow, you'll be able to find new things about yourself that you never knew. Don't trade who you are for who you think the world needs, because the world needs you to be you. And I mean that, because you have a phenomenal potential and phenomenal skill inside one of you that we're going to miss out on. And that's one of the saddest things for me. I've seen the most talented, intelligent people that I think are far more qualified than me not being able to live their purpose because the leaders they're around don't champion it. The leaders they're around are expecting them to be someone else. And that means all of us never get to expect their brilliance. Imagine if all the people that we look up to carried on being telemarketers, funeral directors, right? Or carried on being drug dealers. It's a viable career choice these days. But imagine they did that. We would have missed out on their brilliance. And the belief that you're not going to be able to do that is going to come in your head a million times. It comes in my head every day. It comes in my head all the time, that I'm not meant to do this. I remember when I realized what I wanted to do and make videos, etc., I knocked on every single door of every major publication that I could possibly find. I was applying for jobs that were offering a quarter of my salary at my global consulting firm that I worked for. A quarter of my salary, because I thought I just wanted to break in and then I'd be able to make a difference. I was rejected by all 5 before interview. This was, guess what, to make videos, right? I was rejected by all 5 before interviews. I then networked with the editors of these magazines and these online magazines and the video teams, etc. I spoke to some of the most senior people at these companies and I said to them, look, let me make some videos. I promise you will get, I promise you it will work. Things will happen. They all rejected me. They said, no, you haven't got any journalism experience. You haven't got any media experience. You haven't got anything in your CV that means that you know how to do video or host. Okay, you've done a bit of public speaking, but it doesn't quite fit, right? I came to a point where all I had was the last piece of advice I had. There was a training day that was being run in London for people who were aspiring presenters. And I went to that training day. I got great feedback. They said, this is what you're meant to do. And I said, great, offer me a job. They said, we don't have any. And I was like, oh, great, yeah, obviously it's easy for you to tell me this is what I should do. And they said, no, you know what, you should just go start up a YouTube channel. And I was just like, that doesn't work for anyone. I was like, that doesn't work for anyone. Why would I start up a YouTube channel? You've got to be like 1 in a million for that to work. And the funny thing is, I tried out every option possible to do what I do now, and I failed at every single one of them, that the only option I had was to start a YouTube channel and a Facebook channel. And that's why I'm talking to you guys today, because I started that channel in 2016. And somehow in the last 12 months, thanks to a lot of you, I've had over 200 million views. There's over 1 million people that follow me online. And I'm getting to do what I love every day. But there was a time last year when I said to myself, that's never going to happen to me. So, and I still think about that today. So my point to you is, and I'm not at the end, I'm now at the beginning of where I want to be in life. I haven't got anywhere, I haven't reached anything. And people often ask me, how does it feel when you've made it? Or how will it feel when you make it? And I said, it's not about making it, it's about making a difference. So I'm not quitting until I make a difference. So thank you so much. It's been amazing. Thank you for being involved. Massive round of applause to every single one of you. Hi, buddy. Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much, Jay. If I could just get you to have a wee word with my dad after this, then I'd really appreciate it. We now have about half an hour or so for questions. So, if anyone has a question to kick things off with, the gentleman up there. Do we have any microphones here? Perfect.
You said at the beginning that you're also interested in Tim Ferriss, and as a Tim Ferriss fan as well, I want to ask, what's your morning routine?
What?
What is your morning
routine? Oh, nice. Yeah, good question. So my morning routine, so I've been trained to, when I was a monk, we used to wake up at 4 a.m. So I don't wake up at 4 a.m. anymore. But I wake up at 6 a.m., I meditate for 2 hours. So I practice 2 hours of meditation. I call meditation my gym for the mind. So just as you need to keep the body fit, I like to keep my mind fit by meditating. So I meditate for 2 hours. It's a structure that I built up over time, moving from breathing, vipassana activities, all the way through to mantra meditation, which is the repeating of mantras that are powerful ancient wisdom and ancient verses. I do that for 2 hours every morning. Straight after that, I eat, because I need to eat. Obviously, I've had a shower before all of this. I just skipped that important stuff. I then always eat my breakfast. I eat the same thing every day. So I read a beautiful principle by Daniel Levitin in his book, The Organized Mind. And he talks about how when Warren Buffett wants to invest, all he does for that week is take milks and cookies with him, and he sits there and then he invests. He removes unnecessary thoughts and decisions out of the equation. So I eat the same thing every day because it helps me start focusing on what I need to do rather than wasting my mind on thinking about what to do. I then usually end up, straight after that, I've meditated, I've eaten 2 of the most important things in the day. Then I usually spend my time curating my social media. So of course I'm active on social media a lot. I've got a dashboard built where I can follow everything, notice what's going on, look around for trends, look around for things that I want to comment on. Usually spend about half an hour on social media. And now, yeah, that's pretty much my morning routine. So 2 hours of meditation, eating good breakfast, and then social media. But always in that order, never social media, because then the meditating never happens. So yeah.
Next question.
Oh yeah, sorry, go on.
Yep, down here. Or up there. Doesn't matter, it's okay.
And what are you most grateful for in your life recently?
Recently, I'm really grateful for things going wrong just before they go right. Because it humbles me. It makes me realize I haven't got it all together. And that's happened a lot recently. Things have gone really bad before things have gone really good. And it means when there's really good things come along, I'm a lot more gracious, I'm a lot more humble. And I can see that it's not because of who I am, but I'm so fortunate to be around so many incredible people. So that's what I'm grateful for recently.
To follow up on that one, do you think you need that adversity to go beyond the first point? Did you need that? Do you need that
Failure to go through it and to be better than you ever were before.
Have you seen the movie Limitless? Everyone seen the movie Limitless?
Yeah.
So in that movie, there's a great dialogue between Robert De Niro and Bradley Cooper. And Robert De Niro says to him, because you're taking this pill and you're smart, he goes, you haven't earned it. And because you haven't earned it, you've missed out on learnings. And that's what life's like. When you have to go through those failures and those character building scenarios, you're earning the respect and the courage and all of the qualities you need to be able to receive the greatness. So without those, you actually don't become someone. If you look at the results of people who win the lottery, people who win lots of money while gambling, etc. The people that win these millions, if you look at them year on, most of them are broke. Most of them have lost it because they never worked for that money, so they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how it feels. And success is the same. If you haven't worked and struggled for it, you don't know how to accept it. You don't know how to hold it. So yes, I think it's a big part of it. A huge.
Another one. What if life's been really good for you? You don't have the feeling that you had that adversity, but you want to go through that point. So you think everything has been awesome. You're very, very grateful for that. But you're looking for that. You're not looking for the adversity to hit. You want to go through it. Like you say, you want to grow by an experience which was hard and negative. How should you approach that situation?
Never make life more difficult than it already is. But if you're trying to work on something with a lot of passion and energy, they'll come naturally. So if you're accelerating your growth towards your passion and purpose, that stuff's gonna come. So you don't need to go out there and look for it. Like you don't need to fall down these stairs now and break a leg, right? If you go out there and try and make your dream come true, that's gonna happen for you. So let it happen. Don't invite it, right?
Do we have a question from this side of the room? Yes, at the back there. Girl with the blonde hair.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking.
I'm curious because you talk a lot about that in the presentation that you know that you should do what you love and these things, but what if you don't really know what are really the things you might be good at what you love? How will you figure this out? Because you can do an endless row of courses to finally find...
Completely, great question. So one of the first things I'd do is that activity we did, breaking down your different traits, I would start there. Whatever your answer was, what was your answer? Outgoing in people, right. So that's where you start. So you're naturally an influencer, you can be inspiring, you have ideas, you're insightful, you're great with concepts, you're great with thoughts. I would start there, right? That's one way of looking at it. The second thing I'd look at is I'd ask yourself, what advice would you give to your younger self? When we were younger, we were so ourselves. Right? We did things that we don't do anymore. Maybe you used to paint when you were younger and you haven't painted in years. Maybe you used to write poetry. Maybe you used to write songs. Maybe you used to play an instrument. What advice would you give to your younger self? If that person was standing in front of you today, what would you do? Right? What advice would you give them? That's going to help you tap into parts of you that you've forgotten, that are naturally there. And another question I'd ask you to look at is the one that's up on behind me. What will you regret that you didn't do? Fast forward to being 80 years old. And ask yourself, what will I regret that I didn't do? Maybe the answer will be travel. Maybe the answer will be learn a new language. Maybe the answer will be I'll regret that I didn't try working in this field. The incredible thing about both these questions is that when you ask what advice would you give your younger self, you're using the past to empower the now. Whatever advice you'd give to your younger self, you can do it today if you really want to. And then when you ask yourself, what am I going to regret that I didn't do? You're looking into the future and you're going to empower the now and say, okay, I'm not 80 yet. I can do it right now. So that's a great place to start, right? That's a great place to start. Start with where you're at. You're outgoing in people. Focus in on that. Recognize what advice would you give to your younger self? What have you missed? What would you regret that you didn't do? And if all of that's really struggling, you're really struggling with it, I'd say talk to people around you that have benefited from being around you in any way and ask them, what impact am I having on your life? Because when you ask them what impact you're having on your life, you'll start to see your own value that we often forget. So ask them, how am I making a difference in your life? How have I made a difference in your life? Right? Those are some ideas. There's loads more we could go through. But find people who spend a lot of time with you, who can observe your skills and observe your passions. And it starts as a passion. It's not always what you love. It starts as something very simple. I hope that helped. I went through 3 layers before even getting to where I wanted to be. And those layers were lots of research, filling out lots of application forms, hunting down the best in the business, and they all rejected me. Like it's real, it's there, right? And if you look at some of them, and if you look at people who are incredibly successful, that's just little me. If you look at incredibly successful people, they've all had that, right? J.K. Rowling's my favorite story. She was rejected by 12 publishers. Her husband used to abuse her, and she was a single mom. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that. And she wrote Harry Potter. I just went to LA and just went to Harry Potter World at Universal Studios. I was like, and all I was thinking about there was, I'm so glad, I love Harry Potter. I'm so glad that she decided to write this book. Can you imagine that? Single mom, broke, abused by her husband, rejected by 12 publishers. And she invented Harry Potter. So there's a lot of excuses that we can't really have, because there's a lot of people with a lot bigger issues that have done stuff that's incredible. And I'm not saying that you have to do stuff that's incredible or famous for it to be important. That's not the point at all.
Could you maybe share with us what was like the main lesson or takeaway during your time as a monk in India?
Yeah, sure. So one of my favorite things as living as a monk was the biggest principle you learn is that your happiness is not dependent on anything external. You don't postpone or give the key to your happiness to anyone or anything or any situation, which truly represents that happiness is an inside job. So you focus on this skill that's called being self-satisfied. You work in a way that you're living your purpose, living what matters to you, and functioning from that point inside out, rather than going, oh my God, if this works out, then I'm gonna be happy. If that works out, if I get promoted, then I'll be happy. If my degree goes well, then I'll be happy. Because every time you say that, you're putting your happiness onto something you don't fully control. You control it a little bit, but you don't control it completely. Think about getting promoted. You work hard. Then there's a manager, then there's all your competition, and then there's the company and whether its finances are going well. You're 1/4 of the equation. You could give 100% and the other 3 could overrule you. If you feel sad just because you didn't get promoted, it means that you're always waiting for something there to make you happy. As a monk, we focused a lot on not letting it, and coming back to the gentleman's point up there, then that way you're not waiting for things to go right or wrong. You just know you're moving in the right direction. So if I looked at all those rejections and I thought, oh my God, I'm not happy now, I can't be happy, I can't be satisfied because I got rejected, I could have just been upset and disappointed for a long, long time. So that's probably one of the best things I learned. And it's not that I've learned it and I've figured it out, but it's a constant learning journey. Yeah, thank you, man.
I have a question because you said you should invest in your passion. And I actually thought about it like, for quite a while. And I have a friend circle, there are a lot of actors and a lot of musicians. And I also know some people who followed this idea for a long time in their life. And actually my best friend, he's in Munich now, he studies jazz guitar, and it was like, it's his passion, and he excels at it really, and he spends like super much time on it. But right now, at the end of his bachelor, he's really worried about one thing, and that is money actually. And that's one thing where I'm also like, when I'm thinking about all this, struggling with, because at some point, you come to a point when you don't, when you're not successful or you don't have a certain income, where it's really, really difficult to do that. And like, what would you advise him, for example, to do?
Yeah, so I've got a bit of advice for him and for everyone else in the room. The advice for him is that I'm hoping that because he made that choice, he's had quite a meaningful life. Like at least he's woken up every day and loved what he did, which, I'll be honest with you, is a beautiful luxury when you get older. Right? When I speak to people who've got kids, married, they're 40 years old, etc., their biggest challenge is that they don't do what they love every day, which makes them worse in their relationships, makes them treat their kids in ways they don't want, and they start behaving in all sorts of ways and taking it out in different ways because of that simple thing. So first of all, I'd hope that if he's made that decision, it's really worked for him, that's worked. The second thing I'd say is that one of the positions that we're all in today is that I'm not telling you to not work at a corporate. I think corporate experience is great. I think what you guys want to go out there and do is great. What I'm saying is, don't lose this voice. Do it while you're at work. Work till 6 p.m. every day, and then work till the evening. Work till 8 p.m. every day, then go home and work on what you actually care about. Use your weekends to not be on Instagram and actually do what you care about, right? Because when you do that, you're investing in your meaning. You can be making enough money and make the switch. That's what's up for all of you who have a great degree, have a great education, you've got that job lined up. Use it. Just don't become a servant of that job. Don't just say, oh, I'm in prison now, I'm just going to use my weekends to hang out. If you do want to do that, that's cool too. If you say to me, Jay, actually, whatever you're saying, I don't even want that. I just want to hang out and have a good time. I don't even want meaning or purpose. That's cool with me too. But if you want to be happy and you want to be fulfilled and you want to have an impact on the world, then use your time wisely. Go home and spend. I used to go home after my corporate job at 8 p.m. and edit till 1 a.m. on my own every day because I didn't have enough money to pay an editor. And I thought I had to sculpt it myself. So I'd go home every day and I'd be editing for 5 hours. So today when I speak to people that want to do what I do and I say, oh, you can edit it yourself, they're like, oh no, I don't know how to edit and I can't afford to do it with someone else, so I can't do what you did. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know how to edit. I taught myself how to edit. So my point is that use that evening, use that weekends to build. So do your job, get a job if that's where you need to go with it. If you can't go all in, be safe, be secure. But then don't waste that time on not doing that and then complaining that you don't have what you want. Does that make sense? Yeah? So I'm not telling anyone to drop out, again. Yeah.
We have a question at the back.
Hi, I just wanted to ask that you said that you spent 3 years in India living as a mom. I just wanted to ask where exactly did you do that course?
So I lived 4 hours south of Mumbai, but is nothing like Mumbai, so you wouldn't know. It's like just scattered land, it's dispersed, but we build a sustainable village there. So yeah, it's called the Eco Village now, and it's a place called Wada, which is W-A-D-A in India. It's not very well known, it's tiny. And when I first went there, it was just barren land. It's now this fully sustainable village, which allows 150 families to have food, clothing, and water. It's an incredible sight to see, actually. So yeah, it's a totally random place that has no significance, but now has significance based on what we've been able to do there, what they've been able to do and I helped out with. This is incredible. I love you guys, by the way. This is so cool.
Jay, I just want to know, like, you're traveling the world right now, people want to watch you, want to listen to you. What advice would you give on being a good public speaker?
Okay. So I was trained as a public speaker when I was a kid because my parents really wanted me to get out of my shyness. So I spent 5 years at public speaking and drama school. That was huge. That gave me loads of practice, it gave me loads of tools, it gave me loads of experience, but that wasn't it. Everything changed when I found what I was passionate to talk about. So my number one advice to anyone who wants to be a public speaker is find what you actually care talking about. So when I was in the corporate space, I was using my public speaking skills to sell products, but that was boring, it didn't work. Just because I was a good speaker, I could sell products, but I didn't feel fulfilled. So my first piece of advice is find something that you really want to share with people. Find out what influence you want to have with people. Find out how you want to serve people. And when you start there, then work backwards. Then focus on practicing the skill. Then focus on getting those lessons. Then focusing on training up. But it all starts with what difference you want to make in people's lives. And if you don't know what you want to talk about, you can learn the skills and the quips and the tricks and all of this kind of stuff, but it's going to come across flat and ingenuine. And when that happens, you may be able to impress a few people, but you won't move anyone. And public speaking, in my opinion, is about moving people. It's not about impressing and entertaining them, just that. So, of course, I'd say watch loads of TED Talks too. But if you notice, the key to TED Talks is that everyone on TED has studied what they've done for years. And that's what we don't need more speakers in the world. We need more people who've studied and lived what they talk about. And that's what I'm big on. We don't want more speakers in the world. We want more people who study and live what they're talking about, because that's what's going to have an impact. So hopefully that helps.
I just wanted to say, like, I didn't hear you tell about one of your greatest advices you gave me on Facebook a year ago. You challenged your audience on Facebook of being prepared of making a fool out of yourself at least once every so often. I did. I challenged you. One day we'll share a stage. So I took up on that advice. I did my first international TED Talk, proceeding on my career. So Jay, I'm coming.
Amazing. Congratulations. Awesome. Come up now. Come up now. Why wait? Why wait? Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
This is your stage, go for it.
But one day we will.
Yeah, awesome. Really nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Give a round of applause. Hey, man.
You mentioned that you will not stop until you make an impact. Now, what is the impact that you see?
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to stop, because I don't think you can ever have made a huge impact. And that's the beauty we see with people who really want to be change makers in the world, that they never feel that there's an end. So you keep growing and growing and growing. At one point, I always thought, oh yeah, if I'm speaking to people in audiences that are big, that would be great, because we'll be able to impact so many people. And then digital came along and technology came along, which means you can reach millions of people across the world. And then now that's happened, but then I'm like, okay, but everyone needs to grow, everyone needs systematic training and learning, and everyone needs hand-holding, and everyone here is gonna need help on that journey. So now my next step is, okay, now so many people are interested, how do we create a platform where people are learning together and from each other, right? And so that'll be the next step, and then the next step will be after that, okay, how do we get these people to mobilize and create projects that will change the world in ways that inspire them? See, I don't think everyone in this room is gonna do what I do, because they're gonna have better things to work on. And I want to help them, I want to help each and every one of you to create the life-changing and change-making projects that matter to you. So whatever help that needs, whether it's hand-holding for the individuals, teams, communities, groups of people that we need to build together so that we can have that impact, that's when I feel we'll start having that impact. At the moment, we just have awareness. People are now focusing on the right things. People are now having the right conversations. When I see people who do similar stuff to me online, and I see people growing and more people following us, I get excited because I feel, wow, the world's shifting from just liking pictures of cats, right? To liking pictures of, to following and sharing videos of people who are trying to make a difference. Like that says a lot about how the culture's changing, right? No, we still like cats, right? I still like cats. I share videos of cats. But you get the point. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm trying to do. So I don't know what that means, but that's the best part of it. There's so much uncertainty in what I'm doing, but that's great because then we can fill in the gaps. If it was certain, it wouldn't be exciting. So I don't know, but I'm hoping that people I meet along the way are going to give me ideas, right?
Excellent, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll just take one more question from the front and then we'll move to the back.
Hello Jay, thank you for your speech.
Thank you.
My question basically is, how do you make sure that you don't lose focus when you're aiming for your goal?
Yeah, wait, focus of what? Sorry, let me clarify before I jump in.
Focus to work on your goal and try to fulfill it.
So my focus is always on my intention. So I believe that any goal has three things: intention, attention, and action. Those are the three things that any good goal needs. It needs a deep intention. That's your why. If you haven't read Simon Sinek's Start With Why, I recommend it massively. It's one of my favorite books. I love Simon. I interviewed him last year, and it was incredible. His book made me chase a lot of my dreams. I interviewed him last year on my show, right? And it's incredible to see that come full circle. I got to tell him how his book changed my life. So starting with why. What's your intention? Why the hell are you doing this anyway? Because if it is just for you, then you're going to run out of steam. If it's just for you, you're going to run out of energy. If it's just for you, you'll be tired. I get on a flight and sleep like 4 hours every night when I'm traveling to speak. If I was doing this just for me, I'd be sleeping right now because it's hard, it's tiring. But I feel like I've got this amazing opportunity to be with all of you, and because I want to serve you, that gives me energy. So the intention's huge for any goal, and that's going to be refined every single day. The second thing is attention. You're only going to keep your attention when you're surrounded by people who also have attention for their goal. Their goal may be different to yours, but the fact that they're focused and attention, you've got to surround yourself by a bunch of people that want to achieve their goals too. And you've got to be reminding yourself in whatever way possible it is, breaking down that goal into little things every day that you start giving your attention to. And it has to be daily, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. People want to start meditating 10 minutes a day. People want a business 10 minutes a day. You want to learn an instrument 10 minutes a day. Just start with that. Right? Start with what you have. Don't worry about having more time. People who say, I need more time to do something, when that more time comes, they'll waste it too. If you make the most of what you have right now, you'll make the most of what you'll always have. If you use £1 wisely, you'll be given £100 to use wisely. That's how it works, right? And the third part is action. You want to give as much focus to how do you turn an idea into action. That action may just be, I need to call 3 experts up and research this idea. I need to speak to 3 people who understand this. It's action. You get focus when you act and accelerate acting. The problem is people say, I'm going to speak to 3 people this year about my idea. When I have a problem, I speak to 3 people in that hour about my idea, right? That's the difference. You accelerate failure and research so much that you've learned everything you needed to know, and then you move on to the next. And that's where people struggle. They don't accelerate learning, they postpone it. So people are like, I'm only going to do 1 course this year. Do 10 courses, right? Why are we limiting that ability? Take on something else. Try something else out. So your focus is intention, attention, and action. Always ask yourself those 3. If you don't feel focused, one of those 3 is missing. Find out which one it is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
thoughts first of all. And you just said you think people do not have real conversations anymore. I agree, and
try to have real conversations with people here, most of the time it just doesn't work. They look at you in a very strange way. Then go home and watch TED Talks. But how do you do it? I assume you also do not like small talks. So how do you do it in everyday life to connect with people?
It's a beautiful question. I really feel, though, what you're saying is real and it's true. The incredible thing is that I'm hoping that after a session like this, where so many of you have decided to be here, that when you walk away, you're going to have more to talk about. Not because I've said anything, but because you've started thinking in this direction. The more you're consuming and feeding your brain and your mind and your consciousness with these sorts of topics, as a group, as a community, as a group of friends, you're going to be able to talk about more meaningful things. The hardest is when you're tuned into something that's totally opposite and then trying to bring the conversation to another side. So I love the fact that a lot of people I know get together and read the same book every month. They've got a lot more to talk about. Or a lot of people get together and say, we're going to watch the same TED Talks every month. And then we're going to talk about it. You start finding places and people and ideas to connect with that you're all exploring at the same time. I remember when Mark Zuckerberg a couple of years ago, he set himself the challenge of reading a new book every month. And I remember following his book list and reading every month. Now, I didn't get to talk to him about it. I'm hoping that's going to happen one day. But the thing is that everyone who was following him, we all started talking to each other. My show last year that I was running on Huffington Post was called Follow the Reader, where I was reviewing books. I was getting the authors on. That's where I met Tim. That's where I met Simon Sinek. And we're talking about their books. It's incredible. The people that were tuning in online internationally are now talking to each other and sending those books to each other for Christmas. Right? It's incredible that you can build an online community. Sometimes those people aren't going to be around you. They're going to be across the other side of the world. But the point is, if you persevere and you're serious about finding your tribe and you're serious about attracting people of that consciousness, you look for places to do it in. So I know a lot of people who used to tune into my online show who felt like you, but they found people across the world through the show that they now talk to about the books that we discuss. There's so much more community out there now because of what technology's done. So on one side, yes, we connect less, but we can connect more. And we just need to be able to see that so that we can switch and see that positive side, right? So hope that connects.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all we have time
Thanks,
for
man.
tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, buddy. Oh.
Small token of our appreciation.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I'm sweating right now, but oh, the label's still on, so I can give it back.
Well, thank you very much
there we go.
for attending. I think it really has been a thought-provoking and inspiring evening. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys.